right, guys, this is another episode of Real Talk Chicago. This is a very special episode for me. It kind of signifies a few different things for me, more so than anything else. I would say just growth and partnership for sure, because this is the first time that I've gotten a chance to have both my original co-host and my new co-host all on the same podcast with one of the guests that has now met both. So it's dope, especially for the listeners who have really been rocking with us since we were only going on Facebook with really shitty, grainy footage. I'm sitting here with Antoine. Go ahead, introduce yourself, Antoine.
What up, world? It's your boy, Antoine Jones.
All right, Antoine, Chicagoland, fucking actor, athlete, nightlife guy, all these different things. He has an episode dropping. You guys go check it out. By the time this one comes out, that one may already be out. Definitely check out Antoine's episode. But it's been, 3 years since we did Antoine's original episode, Diamond?
It might even have been, I feel like, was that 2017 or 16?
Yeah, I think it was, honestly, I don't know for sure.
It was probably 3 years.
I would be lying.
A long time.
But I think we started in 17. So since then, Diamond decided to country hop, and she no longer wants to co-host because she is in Israel.
That is partially true. I would love to still do, like, if we could do this is pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know how I feel about going back to America the longer I stay out of it.
Why?
To be honest, when you're not in America, looking at it feels weird. Like, you start to see what everybody else views your own country as. Like, everyone's like, y'all are fucking crazy. Like, what's going on over there? Damn, it's like that? You know, like, everyone's just like, the stories that you hear in America are so wild to them. Like, they can't even imagine the shit that we're just so used to.
We've been desensitized.
Wow.
Yeah, like, super desensitized. Like, even, like, when you just hear, like, random, like, stories, like, a young girl, like, or even, like, the really sad story right now with Nia Riveria. Like, that kind of stuff happens so much more in America. Like,
or a woman?
Wait, I can't really hear you now.
Is that the Hispanic woman from the military that's gone missing?
No. That's Vanessa Guillen. This is the girl from Glee, the actress from Glee.
I don't know anything about what we're talking about.
What? Do none of you know about it?
I don't know neither.
Hold on. Are you guys serious?
Yeah.
Like
yeah, what is it? I mean, there's so much going on. Listen. There's so much going on over here. There's a lot going on. You can't just, first of all, give us, cut us some slack. All right. First and foremost. No,
sorry, but we didn't.
So let me digress. No, so cut us some slack. What is this story that you're talking about right now? Just, enlighten us, because this might have happened. This might have been something from a month ago. And if it was from a month ago, it's way forgotten. You know what I'm saying? Jada cheated on Will. You know what I'm saying? There's a whole lot of.
Would love to talk about the Entanglement. Just watched that today.
The Entanglement.
We have to, because this is one of those topics that I would always stick away from, but she would definitely bring it up. So we'll talk it.
I'm like the queen of, like, the celebrity gossip. Like, that is all my brain is with. Nia Riveria, if anybody here watched Glee, which I doubt you loved it as much as I loved it, but she was one of the characters that was, like, she had a pretty big role. She's the girl who Big Sean made the song about, I Don't Fuck With You. No.
Oh, that's what's up. Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Diss track.
She was on his diss track. So she has a son, a 4-year-old son, and they went out. This was like 3 days ago. They went out to a lake in California, and they found her son 3 hours later by himself asleep on the boat, and she's nowhere to be found, and they've been searching for her for the last 3 days. And no one has any clue where she is. Like, they say that this lake has, like, a bunch of, like, whirlpools, and it's very common at that lake. So
what?
dead, but they still haven't found her.
Damn. That's
We,
crazy.
I have no. You know, that's interesting that they haven't. I mean, that. So why did you get that news? I believe you received that news before we received that news.
Yeah.
I got news about Kobe Bryant like super quick because of the time difference. Like somebody had posted it when it was like kind of really early for you guys. Like everybody was still asleep, but like for me it was like daytime. And I hit up my boy in LA. I was like, bro, Kobe Bryant died? And he was like, no, he just passed LeBron. Like that's what they mean by pass.
That's
Because he
crazy.
just passed him up and like whatever. And I was like, nah, bro, they said something about a helicopter. And like he was like, how the fuck did you tell me about Kobe Bryant and I live in LA?
Wow.
Crazy.
Yeah. So you're in Israel, Diamond. What's the time difference exactly?
I'm 8 hours ahead of Chicago.
Oh, so that's why you're in the future. So that's why you know.
That is
So, Diamond, I know that you've been to Israel multiple times prior to you actually making your extended stay, because in my head, you're coming back home. So, what do you think it is that has been your biggest culture shock from life here every day to life there every day?
I think the biggest difference here is that you don't realize how well behaved Americans are in certain situations, like at the store, like customer service, or even just like sitting down at a restaurant. Like you don't get this like top notch fake customer service here. Like everybody's like, what do you want? You know? When I got here, I was like, damn bitch, can you help me? Like I need some clothes, you know? And like in America, like you show up and they're just like, oh hey, like can I get you a bag? Like anything you need? You know, like they follow you like the whole time. Like that doesn't happen here. There's no such thing as like waiting in line. Like somebody's definitely gonna get in front of you and you gotta like fight for like the spot you literally had. Like it's crazy. It's really aggressive.
That's because we have guns here.
So, I mean, like little things like that. And then the bigger things for me is my ethnic background, I'm not full Israeli. I'm half black. And like, I'm basically like a unicorn here. Like, I don't have anybody, like, it's a very small amount of people that I can find that can really relate to that side of me. Like, most Americans, because there's like a big American community or an English speaking community here, they're all from like Australia or the UK, or they're Jewish Americans, and like pretty much a lot of the majority is white. And like I always would tell them like, you guys are like my first like white Jewish friends. Like I never would have
Wow.
had friends in America, you know, and not like off of anything like I had anything against them. I just didn't grow up in a Jewish community, which they mostly did. So
We did grow up right down the street from one, but they kind of
yeah,
seem self-segregated.
Well, they were. Yeah, you couldn't like be in the. You know, you
that,
weren't welcome to go. You know, communicate.
Right.
At least I never received the vibe of being welcome when I went to high school in that area. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
topic, and you're absolutely right. And it's actually a big topic in the Jewish community because there's different types of Jews, and there is a huge community that's very like closed off and doesn't make anyone feel welcome, because Jews are very much like a certain group are very much like, oh, if you're not Jewish, then like, you know, and it's fucked up. And that was always an issue that I had with it, like, because I was never considered Jewish because you have to be Jewish for your mom. So I dealt with a lot of like, oh, so you're not actually Jewish, like my whole life. So it's deep. It's like
That
a
was
lot.
actually going to be a question I was going to ask, like, because I know about the way that the Jewish people, and that's interesting to me too, because we did an episode a couple of months ago with a guy, Smoke, and he is a follower of the Bible or the Torah, as even he would say, but Jewish culture is a lot based off the Talmud and not so much the Torah. And a lot of like, they call them Black Hebrew Israelites, but it's Black, Hispanic, and Native American. And these are, they call themselves Israelites. I just think that it's interesting to see the way that it happens, because according to what they say, it's supposed to be patriarchal through your father. And but
Yes.
Jewish people say through your mother.
Yeah, so there's like a certain group of Jews called, it's something with a C, Karaites, I think, that also believe that it's through the father. But like to be seen and recognized officially as Jewish, let's say through the state of Israel, through the government, it is only through the mom. So a majority will only go by the mother rule.
Wow.
You have more progressive Jews that are like, all that shit's bullshit. Like, you're half Jewish, who cares what side? So there's definitely different like types, but here in Israel is still a lot of people that are a very like, just like an old school way of thinking and doing. Like the customs here and just the culture is very much like steps back for me.
How specifically do you mean steps back?
Like, you'll have like Tel Aviv be very progressive and accepting.
For the listeners, that's like Israeli CNN, right?
Well,
or are you
no,
talking about the city?
the city, yeah.
The city, right.
I just mean like the one city here that is progressive and different and still even has work is Tel Aviv. And so anything outside of that, you have people that are very, very traditional. Like, you don't leave your house, your parents' house, until you're ready to like move in with your husband.
Married, yeah.
And like you get married, and even like the marriage laws here, it's like you get married through like the rabbis. And if you wanted a divorce here, this is like something I learned here that I thought was insane. The husband has to give permission.
Oh wow. So if the
And
husband,
cases where the husband says no, and it's a whole thing. Like,
my wife would never get divorced.
so it,
sad. Like, and that's like the thing here. It's just like so sad when I see people like tell me these kinds of stories. I don't know. So traditionally, they still follow the Torah a lot. So, the rules of like the Bible, we don't do that stuff anymore, but they do. Like, Israel is a very religious state. So, there's a lot of things.
I mean, I guess you could always be in a situation where you're like under Sharia law, like just by hopping over a couple of countries. So I guess it's better that you don't want that after getting used to American life.
I mean, I don't even know at this point, like anything that is like heavily religious for me, I'm kind of like, I'm gonna stay over here. Cause like anything too extreme, like I've seen both of my parents extreme. Like I've seen my mom be an extreme Christian, my dad be an extreme Jew. And I'm at some point, you kind of lose it. Like you lose it a little bit. Like don't go too far, like it's always good to have balance.
that's an interesting point. So because I was thinking about that. Do you think that at that point you lose yourself?
I do, because here's the thing. I know a decent amount about like Bible stories, and like in Jewish religion, there's a lot of rules. Like there's rules down to the animals you eat, down to like what animal is considered kosher.
The
down
cheeseburger thing was always crazy to me. You can't have cheese on your burger?
Exactly. You can't mix meat and milk. You can't. And that's because there is a line in the Bible that says you shouldn't mix a goat in its mother's milk. And
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I think that might be the English translation, but
No, it is.
things like that where they really take these words for real, like it's serious. And I always say, like, I really do commend people who follow these things, because like you got to have a lot of just strength to go to these lengths to follow everything the Bible says, so I do think that's beautiful. But it's only bothersome to me when, okay, like I grew up different, right? And so now I'm coming to a person who's literally never had a cheeseburger and telling them like, oh, I'm cool with cheeseburgers. And they're like, you would eat a cheeseburger? And I'm like, yeah, what do you mean? Like, or like, you've had shrimp before? And I'm like, yes. Like, they can't eat seafood. They've never had pork. So all of these rules, whatever. So your question was, do you lose yourself? I think you can lose yourself if
Well, I'm hearing that you like lose yourself. just
that would be me, right?
right.
But if you grew up like this, that is yourself.
That's a good point.
Like,
but did you even get a chance to find yourself though?
That's right. But that's the thing. My cousins, to them, it is like mind-blowing that I would ever consider even eating the things that they will never taste in their life.
Wow.
And I have a cousin who he will be like, man, like cheeseburgers be looking so good. And I'm like, eat one. Just fucking eat one.
Take a bite, bruh. Take a bite, cuz.
I don't know. So like, I just personally, if I were to start like getting super religious, like I've seen both of my parents suddenly switch. I've seen them kind of like lose a version of themselves that I miss. So that's kind of what it is. And that's what a lot of people who go religious will say. Like, you're going to end up losing people from your past life because they're not going to accept the new you. So
wow.
It just depends if you, like, you might like what you change. And the other people in your past are going to be like, you switched up, you know?
Right.
Do you feel as though the entire experience has, obviously it's changed you in different ways that you couldn't even think about before. Do you think it's changed you for the better?
I think it's something like, I'm gonna try to explain it. Like, living here has given me a better life than I would have ever had in America. And what I mean by that is, like, in America, I felt like I was always broke. I was always like worried about, like, I don't have good credit. And like, the system here is not built to like make sure you don't succeed. It's a socialist government. So it's like, I have so many resources here that are just available to me. Like, I just bought a brand new car with like a discount just for being like an immigrant. Like, that's crazy. And so the opportunities this country has given me, and let's talk about my favorite thing here is you can split anything in any kind of payments you want. Like, you could go to a store and just be like, oh, like, just put that, like, split it in 4. And they just swipe your card, and then you just get billed for the next 4 months. Like, it's just so great.
What?
Hey, that's lit.
Right.
Yo, I like that.
It's so lit. Like,
Hey, Isaiah, we need to make note of that.
Hell yeah, that's lit right there.
Yeah, that's
a
what
hot
we're gonna.
take.
Right.
Like, I'd be like, oh, $2,000, split that in 4, we good, you know? Like,
I love that.
that's why I feel more comfortable. Like, in America, I was always like, well, can't afford that. I'll never buy myself a new car. Like, I can't get that, whatever, because my credit's not good, you know? So it's just how needed.
It's that feeling of scarcity too, right? Yeah.
What? Yeah, just that anxiety when I was out at dinner with friends. Like, if it was too many people at the table, I'd be like, oh, damn, what's this gonna cost me? You know?
Yo, that's a real. I mean, I appreciate you saying that, because I think that's something that a lot of people have a hard time with admitting about this country. And I mean, just facing themselves with that, right? And being like, this system is it is built for you to fail ultimately. And when you fail, you fall really hard, where
Exactly.
it almost feels impossible. It feels, or the thought comes that it's impossible to get out of this hole, because like there's debt, then there's credit, and then there's debt collectors, and there's phone calls, and there's things coming in, and there's no splitting payments, right? You got to pay, either you pay cash or you pay credit with that 26% interest. You know what I'm saying? So they, so it's I mean, that's a very great point. What do you, so with that being said, I mean, what would you say to someone that's going through, that's going through that thought process out here, now that you have the two different perspectives? Would you say, yo, move to Israel? Or would you be like, or I mean, what's the, what would you?
Well, moving to Israel, it would be different for somebody that was not Jewish, right?
Yeah, that's the other sad truth. Like, my sister, who is from a different dad, so she has no connections to this country. And I've even thought about, like, damn, like, what if I just wanted to help her and like have her come move out here? Like, I got to think about how I could legally do that, because they would probably let her come for an extended amount of time, but she has no ties here. Like, I don't think a sister that's Jewish is good enough. It has to be like some kind of parent. Wow. So